Hi, my name is Ava Doak, and I chose scene 1 from the language archive. I was reading this scene very late at night, and I remember sitting upright because of how deeply I recognized myself in Mary. She moves through the world emotionally first, and she interprets the world through art and beauty and feelings and impulse, sometimes to a level that's very overwhelming, and I deeply understand that. And then I recognized people that I love in George, who is so brilliant with words, but fails to connect them emotionally. His inability to feel what he knows and can intellectually articulate creates this tension that's very comedic, but also very heartbreaking. So this story really matters to me because I know what it's like to communicate in a way that people often don't immediately understand. And I know the ache of loving people deeply whose emotional language is just different than yours. So reading this scene helped me feel less alone in that. And that's what I want for my audiences. I want them to feel the weighted tragedy that comes from loving people whose communication doesn't align with yours, but to understand that neither side is bad, it's just often incompatible, and that's a hard thing that a lot of people relate to. I even showed this scene to an actor that I want to work with for this scene, and he was deeply moved because of how profoundly he related to George. And after hearing him express his perspective and what this show meant to him, I immediately knew that this was a story I had to tell to more people. So what is the scene ultimately about? At the core, it's the tragedy of two people who love each other very deeply but speak entirely different emotional languages. My vision treats this as a bittersweet comedy of misalignment, where the humor comes from a lot of truth and then the heartbreak at the end comes from a lot of sincerity. Here's how I'm gonna create that world and that atmosphere. Everything around George is very clean and structured and precise, and he moves with this careful and measured movements. And everything around Mary is a bit chaotic and messy, and she carries this soft presence, but she also moves with this impulsiveness and this honesty. And so everything on stage is going to convey that disconnect that they have in their relationship. Ultimately, the language archive is about the limits of communication and the longing to be seen. My directing approach is going to center that subtle ache underneath the comedy and highlight the tenderness of two people trying and failing to reach each other. Thank you for considering my directing vision in this.